Jesus was trying to change people's attitudes and actions. I'm glad for that, because sometimes it just was harsh. And even with changed attitudes and actions, some of the words that we read today still seem really harsh to me. Goodness. I think I tried to sing for you folks before without Walter playing, just a cappella here. You didn't run out on me, so I think I'm going to try this again, and I hope it's a different song, but it might not be. I'm not certain of this. Do you remember being in Sunday school as a little kid singing the song, "Oh, Be Careful Little Eyes"? You may remember it. Hopefully you'll remember it if I can get the notes with this. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. You remember that, Walter?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. Just a little kid's song, but it's filled with wisdom, isn't it? We do need to be careful what we're doing, where we're going, what we're saying, what we're thinking, what we're holding, what we're going after. Jesus tells me that righteousness is a matter of the heart. Jesus says that our righteousness must be better than the scribes and the Pharisees. That's a lot. That's a plateful. Goodness gracious. He's trying to tell us that sin truly begins in our thoughts, in our minds. And if we nourish the thoughts, we will eventually commit the acts. Jesus talks about anger. Anger towards someone without a valid reason contains the seeds of, what do you think? Contains the seeds of murder. This anger without a cause could lead to be taken to judgment, to taking to court. Sure, if you murder someone, you're going to be judged, you're going to be taken to court. Sometimes just the thought of doing that will end you up there too. Depends on how you express it. Abusive language towards someone also contains the spirit of murder. And this anger could land someone before the Sanhedrin, at that time, the highest court in the land. Cursing language implies the very desire for murder as well. And that could land a person, as Jesus says, in danger of hellfire. There's no mistaking the severity of Jesus' words. In the kingdom, Jesus will deal with sin according to their severity. And they are all severe because there's not a ranking of sin of least to worst. They're all worst. If a person offends someone else, whether by anger or by any other cause, the situation should be resolved before worshiping through the Lord's Supper. And this will remove barriers that affect our relationship with Christ and with other believers. Sometimes people don't want to admit being wrong or being guilty of whatever the situation is about. If we are wrong, admit it and make things right. If we don't admit it, well, whatever that wrong is, it will eventually catch up with us. And the fallout, the result, will be even worse. Jesus talks about adultery. Do we remember the phrase, "It doesn't hurt to look"? That could be true if we were on a used vehicle lot, or at a flea market, or at Scheels or Cabela's. Otherwise, it does indeed hurt, especially when the object is someone else. Have we ever seen the facial expression or body language of a girlfriend or a wife when her boyfriend or husband just looks? Yeah, it hurts, and it should. It hurts. The act of adultery is certainly wrong, and it hurts people, and so is the desire. A fellow named E. Stanley Jones says, if you think or act adultery, you don't satisfy that urge. You pour oil on a fire to quench it. Sin begins with the mind, and if we nourish the thought, we eventually commit the act. We need inward and outward purity. Jesus talks about divorce. Divorce was never God's intentions for people. Hope we can just let it go with that today. Jesus talks about oaths. Our words should mean what we are saying. There are no circumstances under which it's proper for a Christian not to be truthful. So what can we take home? Well, be careful what we do and say and think. Be careful what we do and say and think. For the Father up above is looking down in love. Be careful what we do and say and think. Amen.